All right. Hello, hello. Let's talk about the first summative project that you're going to be doing, which is called the Container Challenge Project. So I know that a lot of people are still on maybe week 3 stuff, or you're kind of all over the place. So rather than me going through this project together as a class and then having half the class kind of forget what I said, that's why I created this video. So as soon as you're ready to start the container challenge project, then you watch this video and you kind of get some ideas on what needs to happen. So the first thing that I'm going to do is we'll open this up. Before we get started immediately, I just want to note, so this is going to be our first summative project in this class. Remember, summatives are worth 100% of your grade. Okay, but in order to get to this, you would have had to do all the formative work first. So you won't be able to start this project until all of your formative work has been completed. So this is the first summative, and we're going to have probably 3 summatives and then the final. So only 4 summatives total this semester. So that means this project right here is going to be 1/4 of your grade. So it's really important that you take it seriously. And as you're progressing through this, that you check in with me and you make sure that everything looks good, because this is really going to impact your grade significantly. So the first thing, before we do anything, there's this link. It says, please read the design brief. So we're going to open up the design brief right here, and kind of gives us some information about the problem and everything. So the client is the Coca-Cola company. The target consumer is large food suppliers. All right, so here's the problem. The Coca-Cola company sells many small drinking glasses. These fragile glasses continue to have issues during shipment. Many of the glasses arrived to the stores broken. The poor packaging is causing the stores and Coca-Cola to lose money. So it's going to be your job to redesign the packaging and create packaging that protects the glasses. So you're going to design and construct a packaging container for one glass that will ensure that they will arrive to the store from Coca-Cola intact. So we got some constraints here. The glasses will be individually packed, so you're going to create a package for one glass only, and they just be in there. The container that you're making can be no bigger than 4 inches by 4 inches by 6 inches. So the height of the container is 6 inches. The width and length is 4 by 4. So 4 by 4 by 6. You may only use a maximum of 3 sheets of printer paper. You may only use a maximum of 24 inches of masking tape. You'll be able to pull the glass. You must be able to pull the glass out of the container without destroying the container itself within 3 seconds. So the container, you should be able to put the glass in and take it out relatively quickly. 3 seconds. I'm going to be timing it actually. So you're going to have to be able to put the glass in and then take the glass out of the container relatively quickly. So there has to be some kind of flap or something for you to do that. No crumpling of paper as packaging. So you cannot crumple up paper and put that into your design at all. There can be no crumpled up paper, and the container must be reusable, meaning after we do this drop, you should be able to take the glass out, put another glass in, and then do the same process over and over again. Okay, so what we're going to need here is, I'll kind of go through the procedure right here, but these are the constraints. So the first step right here is just kind of defining the problem. You're going to need to put the client, the target consumer, define the problem. All of that can be you can get from the design brief right here. It's important that you need to put the constraints, write the constraints in your own words. Write why the problem is worth solving. So again, the problem's right here. The drinking glasses are arriving broken to the store, so we need to fix this. We need to make sure that the glasses do not arrive broken to the store. And the validation, just what's the problem? What are the needs? are there any prior solutions? So for this, you're just kind of coming up with like how you might want to do a little bit of research. How are glasses generally shipped to the store? And like why do we need to redesign this? So you're going to come up with all of that right there. You can get most of that from here. This is a good opportunity right now for me to open up the rubric that I'm going to be used to grading you on. So that right there, what we just went over, this is step 1 right here. So step 1 on this rubric is right here. And step 1 is worth 10% of the overall grade. Okay, so it's identifying the problem, validating the problem, justifying it, and the design requirements. Did you fill all of these things out? I'll give you a score over here. But this is all for the step 1. So again, identifying the problem, you can see really easy. That's right there, defining the problem. So this is the rubric that I'm going to be used to do step 1. Now let's move on to step 2, generating ideas. So generating ideas, you're going to have to research and generate ideas. So for this, you're going to look at how glasses or containers they don't necessarily have to be shipped, but how they're stored. So you want to go on Google, find some different packaging and it doesn't have to be packaging for glasses, but packaging in general. And find some different images of ideas of packaging that you think, hey, this might be a good idea. It might be something that I can take an idea from. So you'll find those images from Google. You need to do, 1 is already done for you. You need to do 4 more right here. You'll find those images from Google again, these packages don't have to fit all of the design requirements exactly. They can just be packages, and they don't have to be packages that are used for glasses specifically, just overall packages that you think, hey, that's a good idea. Maybe I can get something from there. So you'll add those images there. And then over here, you can write, why do you think, or what do you think you can get from these images? So for instance, this one, by creating a cylinder with a lid, the glass will be encased. It'll be less likely to cave in. It's going to be really easy to remove the glass because there is a removable cap. So like this image right here, even if they don't create a cylinder in their final thing, doesn't look like this. Them coming up and brainstorming, hey, I want something, a removable cap might be nice. That's something good, and you want to write that over there. Okay, so just basically doing research. Okay, once you've done your research, you're going to come up with 3 unique ideas on your own and describe your ideas below. These do not need to be sketches or pictures, but if you want to, you can use those if it helps communicate your ideas. So down here, we just want to kind of come up with 3 different design ideas for your for this container. And in this description, you want to make sure that you write like, how is the glass going to go in and out of the packaging? Remember, the glass needs to be able to go in and out of the package relatively easily within 3 seconds. And how is the package going to protect the glass itself? So you're going to write those there. All you have to do is write, so it can just be words. But if you want to use images from the internet or sketches that you've made, you can also put those down there. Finally, for step 2, we have a decision matrix. So you notice we have design number 1, design number 2, design number 3. Those correspond to these 3 design ideas right here. Design number 1, design number 2, design number 3. I've already included the criteria for this design matrix right here. So what you'll do is you will rate on a scale of 1 to 10 your design number 1. How aesthetics means like how good does it look? So how good does design number 1 look? How easy is design number 1 to build? And overall, like, what do you think the quality of this is? Do you think that it's actually going to be able to protect the glass? So you will rate design number 1 on these 3 criteria. Each one is going to be on a scale of 1 to 10. So maybe it's like a 7. It's going to be super easy to build, but you don't think that it's very good quality. And then we'll give it a total. So that's 19. Okay. And then you'll come up here for number 2. Whatever your second design idea is, you're going to rate that. So how good does design number 2 look? Well, this one looks terrible Okay, but I think that it's going to be really easy to build and it's going to work. So I think it's going to be really good quality. So then you do 22. And then design number 3, maybe design number 3 looks awesome. It's going to be really difficult to build, but it's also going to have really good quality. So we'd add these up right here, and then we would get, I don't know what that is, 21. So finally, we look at the total. It looks like design number 2 from these ranks. This is the biggest number right here. So you'd want to go with design number 2. So you'd write, I'm going to go with design number 2 because, and then justify your solution. Why are you going to go with design number 2, and why are you not going with design number 1 and design number 3? Okay, this is all for step number 2. And if we come down here, step number 2, generating concept ideas. This is worth 30% of your overall grade for this project. You see the things that we got on here. The brainstorming solutions, that's the coming up with the 3 ideas. The research, so remember when you had to look on Google and find the different the 4 different images and just kind of do some research on packaging that currently exists. And then the select and approach, this has to do with the decision matrix right there. Okay, so now that we have done that, let's move on to step number 3. So step number 3 is developing a solution. So for this, it's all about a concept sketch. Okay, so step number 3 is a concept sketch overall. So for the concept sketch, we haven't gotten into technical sketching yet. So it doesn't have to be a technical sketch, which I know you don't know what that is, but we'll get into that. But I would like to see at least 2 sides of the object, if not more. So if you notice this one, we see like the side of the box, the front of the box, a couple different sides of the box. If we're looking at the watch right here, we can see the watch from the front, the watch on the wrist, the watch from the side. So a couple different angles of the object. And then there's also descriptions on here. So this is also what I'm going to be looking for. So you want to describe, you want to write these annotations, or you want to just like point like this part of the box and then like write what each part is doing. This we've done a decent amount of sketching in this class so far, so this sketch is actually going to be kind of important. This sketch is worth developing the solution. It's worth 10% of your grade. So I'm going to be taking a look at the sketch, grading that, and that's 10% of your grade right there, that sketch. Once you have the sketch, then you are going to construct and test the prototype. Okay, so this is step number 4. So the prototype right here, this is your product. Once you have built your container, you're going to take a picture of it, and then you're going to paste that picture right down here. So we've taken many pictures. You can either use your phone or your Chromebook, however you want to do this, but you're going to take a picture of your object and paste it in here. Then you are going to come up with ways to test how stable this, or how good this container is. So you're going to have to create a minimum of 2 different repeatable tests, meaning like a test that you can do over and over and over again to check to make sure that your container is actually good, that can be completed in the classroom without using the object. So you have to figure out 2 different tests on how can you test this. How can you test this container that you've built without actually taking a glass and putting it into there? Now, I'll have some glasses that you can use to test to make sure that the glass actually fits in the container and you can take it in and out. But in terms of your testing, you won't be able to use the actual glass. So because you can't use the glass for your testing, what can you do to see if your container is going to be good or not? You should have at least 2 tests, and each test should include the necessary steps and recorded data. So that means, how are you going to do these tests? And then the recorded data is, how did your box actually do? So was it successful? Was it not successful? And how do you know? So you're going to write that right down there. That, again, this is step number 4. So if we take a look right down here, whoops, that's step number 4, construct and test. Okay. And then finally, after you've tested, we are going to do the final test. That is where once you've finished step number 4, But before you get to step number 5, we're going to have the big drop, okay? So this is where I will take your container. We will put the glass into the container. I will drop it from basically the top of the ceiling. So the glass will be touching the ceiling, and it will fall down all the way to the floor in the classroom. And does it survive or not? And then obviously after that drop, you should be able to take the glass out. So there will only be one big drop. I will conduct that test, and it'll either be yes, you passed, or no, you did not pass. Okay, and you'll write the answer right there. Okay, and then finally, so the whole testing procedure, that is 30% of your grade. The constructing your thing, that's like that's worth 20 points. The planning the prototype, that's 5 points, and then your test, the final test, 5 points. So overall, 30% of your grade for this. And then finally, evaluating the solution. So you have 3 questions right down here. But this evaluation is worth, again, 20% of your grade. So I expect multiple sentences to answer each of these questions, okay? If you use single words or just one sentence, you're definitely going to lose points for this. And this is where a lot of students lose points. They get all the way up to here, and then they just write, was it successful? And then they just write the word yes. But you need to describe how efficiently the solution was to the problem. If the container failed, then describe why. If it was successful, describe some of the benefits of your container and why you think it was successful. So I'm looking for multiple sentences for each one of these. There's just really 2 questions where you have to answer with words. And then number 3, it's creating a drawing to show changes. So you're going to have to do some type of change, and you must do some type of change to your design to make it better in this step. Again, this is evaluating the solution, worth 20% of the overall grade for this project. Now, as you're progressing through this, I'm going to ask you to fill out this form. Scroll down here. It's called the check-in assignment. So every day that you're working on this project, I'm going to ask that you fill out this form right here. And this is basically, it just has each step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So all the different steps of this, and you're going to write, where are you at? You're done with this. You're almost done. You started it, but not really finished, or you haven't even started. So maybe on that first check-in, you're able to get like a couple of these done, but then you're almost done with that one. You started that, and then the rest of these you haven't started yet. Okay, so we just write 1 for all of these. Okay, so then once you've done that, it should come up with, let me edit, undo. Okay, it should kind of just pop an average right there. And then the second day that you're working on this, okay, so maybe now we're down to here, but now we're starting to work on these, and we really haven't gotten any of these done. So you're going to want to fill in for every single one, all of these. And I'm going to have you fill in the numbers, okay, for every single column right here. So you notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 check-ins. I'm assuming this project will take you approximately 7 days to work on. So every single day that you work on this project, you're going to need to fill out this check-in report. And on day 1, if you're still working on maybe the previous week's work or stuff like that, you just want to put 1s all the way down because you haven't started this yet. Okay, so hopefully this video gives you a good understanding of how you're going to be graded on this assignment, what needs to be done in terms of getting the materials. Again, you just get 3 pieces of paper and 24 inches of masking tape. I will have that on the back table, so you can grab that from me. And yeah, you're going to be working on your own for this one, so no groups. It's going to be all you. If you need to see the glass, I'll have some glasses in the back that you can see and use and test, like putting the glass in and taking it out of your package. But remember, when you're doing your own tests, you have to come up with 2 tests to test how good your packaging is going to be without using that glass. And then finally, we'll do the final test where I will put the glass in and we'll test it dropping. So, okay, hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, problems, or issues.